Hey all. Um, so my buddy Steve came by the other day, check out some stuff I was working on, and he brought over some gadgetry from his work, stuff that was no longer in use. He works for a phone company doing some type of tech support. I always forget because all my friends seem to be doing similar types of work, and then I forget which one is doing what exactly. Anyway, he brought over this case full of stuff that's not in here at the moment, but I'm going to show it to you. But it all is part of, I guess, this test set, and it's equipment for, from what from what I read, um, it's to find faults in cables, in telecommunication cables, without actually having to do like metal on metal testing. So it's more like sensor stuff. And one of the, well, there was two of them, but um, one of the things that was in this case was this 147D amplifier. Um, there was actually two of these, this and a different brand, and there was also a headset that's just like one ear piece with like a metal wire, and then probes that plug in here. Totally not organized with this. Um, the the one there was two that were like looked like pen type probes with like a metal tip. And then there was this one, which is kind of interesting. They all had quarter-inch plugs at the end of them, but this one, it obviously is for, some kind of cable is supposed to sit on top of this, which is what I thought even before I found out what this stuff was. And then once I found out what it was, I was like, yeah, well, that makes sense that it's this, the kit that came in that case, like the way, like if you go online, you can actually find them. They still sell them apparently, so I guess they're still in use in some capacity. Um, but this is definitely an older version of it. But I didn't see this. Um, Probably if I dug a little more, I could find it. But I found like the other test probes. But this was kind of interesting. So it obviously some kind of sensor, I guess. But I was thinking, if you had set it underneath of a cable and then you kind of maybe slide it, I guess, and then when it hits a fault, I guess maybe where there's like a break or something in a cable, it has some kind of sound electromagnetic thing that lets you know, because it all comes down to what you have plugged into here and then out. This is for the headphones. um anyway, of course, got to plug it in, right, to see what this does, which is, you know my buddy Steve was like, yeah. He's like, so we're gonna plug it in now so you can hear what this thing does. I am I have this going into this little interface type box. It's just a passive box that has like an attenuator, a volume knob on it, and some other things, but I'm just using it as a volume knob, and you'll see why, or you'll hear why. So I'm gonna plug my guitar in. Obviously, I plugged this in before I filmed this, but I'm glad I did because it was it's extremely loud. So Do I got this plugged in right? Yeah. Okay, so there's two controls, volume and probe. Just a rotary switch for probe or coil, and we'll listen to both of them. So this volume, and I'll go into it more, is a gain control. It's not just the volume coming out of this. It actually is the gain for the input. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust it so that... and that's greatly attenuated. But as you can hear, this, when you turn it down, it's not as distorted because the gain... I mean, it's still distorted. It's just... Okay. So now the other, that was the probe setting. This is the coil setting. Super, like, kind of cocked wah filter. Whereas the other one is more like wide open wah. Feeds back like a motherfucker. So obviously, this is a sensor that, I mean, this is a amplifier for hearing, faults in a cable, because it's just, it seems to be just a super high gain amplifier. Let me see if I can get this open. Has batteries in it. Here is where, sorry if I realize I'm kind of going out of camera shot. A strap clicks on here so you can put it over your shoulder, like a handbag. So how do I get this out? Come on. Oh, come on. The other day this happened and I was like losing my mind trying to open it. But I thought I had figured out why. Just wanted to show you guys what's inside of here. There we go. I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, it's all like surface mount components pretty much. And then there's this here, which I'm fairly positive is the coil in this setting. It's an inductor, like you would get in a wah pedal, really. And it's used as a filter. So here's the gain pot. You can see it's just these two wires hooked up, just the center lug and the outer lug. So when you turn it this way, it increases the resistance, and that is connected to an op amp here. So it's the resistor in the feedback loop of this op amp amplifier. So when you turn this volume up, it increases that resistance and increases the gain as a result. Some other stuff going on here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here for what it seems to be doing. It seems like you don't really need too much to just amplify and kind of poorly amplify the crap out of something. But I guess they, to make it super sensitive or whatever, got these old school jacks here. Takes 3 AA batteries. But yeah, it sounds pretty killer. And the crazy thing is, it sounds so much like this, which is a pedal I've been, posting about lately. But I'll just show you how similar I think it is. What do I know? Oh. Now, that's more distorted than this because it's a higher gain amplifier. This isn't really technically a high gain amplifier, but it's, a high frequency booster distorter thing. But, it's just so strange how when I heard that, I was like, that's really uncannily like what's going on. Oh, sorry, I know. Okay, so next, let's plug this back in. You can hear the the filter. You can hear the noise generated by the circuit from just because of the gain, I guess. But you can hear the filtering as well, that resonant hollowness. And then you go to the coil and you hear it's a different, more filtered. So this thing here, this is kind of wild. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to... Let me figure out how I can do this without it being a ridiculous mess of something. So I tried a bunch of things with this, but then I was trying that. Now take a listen what happened. So, here, let me just show you this too. So apparently this does, what's the word? it senses electromagnetic fields, because once it went over the pickup, I don't think what we were hearing was the strings, because when I have it here, you just barely hear it. It's no more than when you just kind of knock on it. But then when I'm playing and it gets over these, the strings create a fluctuating magnetic field along with the magnets of the pickup. And because the guitar is not plugged into anything, well, it's plugged into a cable, but that cable's going nowhere. So you're just hearing, what's happening, with the strings in the pickup. It'd be cool to use this as, get like make a, it's called some kind of big one stringed bass string or piano stringed instrument like Alvin Lucier did with the long, what was a long thin wire or whatever, music for a long thin wire. I actually, now I'm thinking about it, there's an article in the Pi Electronics magazine, uh, Polyphony, um, that talks about making something where you have, although the album was there, that was different because there's this string with a pickup, but then it was hooked up so that the actual the wire, and I think it might have been like a really long, like someone took like a spool of like piano wire and um, made the wire act almost as a like a speaker, so that the wire was moving. You know, sound was being sent through this wire, and then there was magnets that were moving the wire and then picking it up. Whatever. Um, yeah. So, and then the other things. What did I do with it? Well, this is just a, part of the headphone. There's a wire harness that keeps that to your ear. No, it doesn't work as a microphone. That's what I thought. My buddy Steve's like, no, he's like, I think it's just a speaker. Although, usually that's, speakers can function as a microphone, but not in this case. And just was trying to find what I did with the whatever the probes. The other thing that came with this kit was these. It's like a long metal rod that had like a metal tip. Almost looks like a pencil. And you plug it into this, and that tip, like if you put your finger on it, it's just like super loud buzz. So I guess that was like a probe where you would actually like touch it into like, on a cable or into a circuit, and you would, again, hear. It's just kind of interesting that it's all, this whole test set is just, you're just listening for something. That's not usually a gauge of, a troubleshooting sense that you know what I mean. Usually it's like, you'll see like a meter or something will tell you when something is at a certain level, rather than you just, judging by what you hear. So it's kind of far out. But and he gave me I got another one of these, and I tried that one, but that one, it's a different brand, and it was not nearly as sensitive. So like a guitar, plugging the guitar straight into it, it barely like broke through the amplifier. You could barely hear it, and it was real like muffled. It was nothing like this one. Um, so yeah, this is somebody's somebody's secret weapon because it's pretty killer sounding. I mean, it's like brutal sounding, but in a kind of nasty 70s uh hard rock garage fuzz kind of way. He also brought something about this a really old piece of equipment from like the 40s, that I'll do a different video about. It's nothing. It's not like this. It's got a bunch of dials, and I'm not really even sure what it does yet. I have to really like look into it, but it may be something that I can build, something cool into it, and some kind of tabletop synthesizer type gadget. Um, but I gotta do some more research and more examining of it. So anyway, hope you guys were entertained by that. Thanks.